Oxford rises beside quiet rivers, its ancient skyline guarding centuries of history. Today, scholars gather here, but Oxford began as a humble crossing in wild marshlands. Nearly 2,000 years ago, Roman settlers worked clay beside these quiet rivers. Their pottery industry marks the earliest known human activity on Oxford's future ground. Archaeological discoveries confirm Roman presence here nearly 2 millennia before modern Oxford. After Rome withdrew, wilderness reclaimed the land until Saxon settlers slowly returned. Where these rivers meet, travelers discovered a shallow crossing through England's untamed landscape. Farmers led their oxen through this ford, giving the crossing its lasting name. Around the ford, a small settlement slowly formed beside fertile riverbanks. In the 8th century, Princess Friedesweide founded a monastery beside Oxford's peaceful river.
Friedesweide, I demand you accept this marriage.
I will until she refused royal marriage, choosing faith and devotion instead.
Her monastery became Oxford's spiritual heart during an age of violence.
By the 9th century, Viking raiders threatened settlements across England's rivers.
Oxford became a frontier town standing between Saxon kingdoms and Viking invasion. King Alfred recognized this crossing controlled England's vital roads and rivers. Defences rose quickly, transforming Oxford into a fortified town guarding the river crossing. Trade flourished here, and Oxford slowly grew into a thriving market town. In 1066, Norman conquest reshaped England and tightened control over Oxford. The Normans built a powerful stone fortress to control Oxford's strategic crossing. From a muddy river crossing to a fortified town, Oxford's foundations were laid. By the 12th century, Oxford had grown into a lively English town. Within church halls, scholars gathered to teach philosophy, theology, and classical knowledge. Students began traveling here from distant towns seeking teachers and intellectual opportunity. But what is the nature of the soul?
It yes agrees in virtue, and knowledge is its highest pursuit.
Books were rare treasures, slowly copied by hand in quiet monastic scriptoria. The arrival of students changed Oxford, bringing energy, debate, and constant activity.
We were here first between scholars take our rooms. Your studies don't pay our rent.
We have nowhere else to go.
In 1167, King Henry II banned English students from studying in Paris. Many scholars returned home, bringing their knowledge and ambition to Oxford. Teaching expanded quickly as Oxford transformed into England's leading intellectual centre.
These manuscripts are vital for the Universitas. Indeed, they will form the core of our guild and preserve our teachings.
Students studied philosophy, medicine, astronomy, law, and the mysteries of theology. Permanent colleges emerged to house students and organize Oxford's expanding academic life. University College, founded in 1249, became Oxford's first lasting academic institution. Soon Balliol College followed, strengthening Oxford's growing academic foundation. Libraries slowly grew, protecting manuscripts and preserving knowledge for future generations. Books were chained to desks, protecting knowledge from theft and loss. By the 13th century, Oxford had become one of Europe's greatest universities. Ideas debated here would shape science, religion, philosophy, politics for centuries.
But at what cost?
Oxford had become a university, but conflict and crisis soon awaited. By the 14th century, Oxford had become one of Europe's greatest universities. Thousands of scholars filled Oxford's streets with ambition, debate, and youthful energy.
You dare! Lie dare!
Tavern quarrels suddenly ignited one of Oxford's most violent medieval riots. But tension between scholars and townspeople simmered beneath Oxford's lively academic surface. For 2 days, Oxford streets became battlefields between scholars and furious townspeople. When violence ended, dozens of scholars lay dead across Oxford's devastated streets. The king sided firmly with the Universitas, strengthening scholars' authority over the town. For centuries afterward, townspeople performed yearly penance for the deadly riot. Yet an even greater catastrophe was approaching England from distant shores. In 1348, The Black Death spread across Europe with terrifying speed.
Soon the plague reached Oxford, emptying its streets and silencing its colleges.
Thousands perished as fear and disease swept through medieval England. For a time, Oxford's great halls fell silent as scholars fled disease.
Yet slowly the university revived, welcoming scholars back to rebuild learning.
By the 17th century, Oxford again stood at England's intellectual centre. During the Civil War, King Charles chose Oxford as his royal capital. Oxford transformed into a fortified headquarters surrounded by soldiers and defensive walls. Within college halls, the king's advisors planned war against Parliament's armies.
Their eastern flank is exposed like that.
Eventually, the royal stronghold surrendered, ending Oxford's role as wartime capital.
Once again, Oxford returned to scholarship, its ancient halls ready for new ideas.
After Civil War, Oxford slowly entered an age of intellectual revival.
These new ideas are transforming everything.
Yes, philosophy and science together.
Oxford will never be the same.
The Bodleian Library expanded, becoming one of Europe's greatest centres of knowledge. Oxford scholars explored astronomy, mathematics, and the emerging scientific method. Careful observation and experiment slowly replaced tradition as paths to knowledge.
Empirical evidence is the bedrock of knowledge.
And yet to build ideas. Printed books spread knowledge quickly, transforming education across Europe. Oxford scholars studied the heavens, mapping stars and understanding Earth's place in space.
Experiments in chemistry and physics began reshaping humanity's understanding of nature.
Medical knowledge advanced as scholars investigated anatomy and the mysteries of health.
Philosophy remained central, shaping ideas about reason, politics, and human nature. These ideas challenged everything.
And influence debates echoed across Europe.
Oxford's thinkers and leaders far beyond England.
The university's beauty and tradition inspired generations seeking wisdom and discovery. Oxford scholars explored geography and navigation during Europe's expanding age of exploration.
Observe the magnetic poles.
They're attracting!
Now for the lens.
See the light bend?
This mechanism is next.
New colleges and halls expanded Oxford's influence throughout Britain and Europe. Careful research and documentation became the foundation of modern academic scholarship.
This place feels alive with possibility.
It's electric. Every thought here matters. And it all starts right here.
Oxford had become a beacon of learning during Europe's Enlightenment age. Yet a new era approached as empire, industry, and global change reshaped Britain. By the 18th century, Oxford stood at the heart of Britain's expanding empire. Oxford scholars studied geography, guiding exploration across distant oceans and continents. Ideas shaped in Oxford influenced explorers traveling across the expanding British world. The empire's success hinges across the Gloriam Palmo. We must blend authority with respect.
Traditional subjects like theology and classics remained central within Oxford's curriculum.
As Aquinas posits.
As industry transformed Britain, Oxford remained devoted mainly to scholarship and tradition.
Yet change arrived gradually as transportation and trade connected Oxford to wider Britain. Oxford's traditions remained strong, shaping generations of Britain's political and intellectual leaders. New architecture reshaped the city, blending medieval heritage with Victorian ambition. Academic disciplines expanded as universities slowly embraced modern education.
Scientific research grew steadily as Oxford began embracing modern experimental methods.
The city balanced tradition with gradual modernization during Britain's industrial transformation. Political debates within Oxford reflected the changing society of industrial Britain.
But the Lords will resist. We must push. Law and government are fundamentally intertwined.
The common law has shaped
Privileges of structural institutions. Libraries grew rapidly as printed knowledge spread throughout Europe and beyond.
Despite change, Oxford's ancient traditions continued guiding academic life and discipline.
By the 19th century, Oxford had become a symbol of British education.
India's position here was key for British trade routes.
And China was a huge market, right? Administration across the empire.
Soon a new century would challenge Oxford with conflict, reform, and global change. Oxford stood ready to face the turbulent 20th century and its coming wars. By the late 19th century, Oxford began transforming through education reforms and social change. Oxford slowly expanded its curriculum beyond classical studies into modern science new subjects in science. Modern transportation connected Oxford more closely with Britain's rapidly changing society.
These reforms could widen access,
What university's purpose?
and the university's part in the purpose of universities.
New women's colleges opened doors for female scholars entering Oxford's academic world.
This theory connects to our main argument.
Yes, and it's what's got that. Would we build any Christian universities? Agreed.
Gradually, Oxford evolved into a more inclusive academic community.
Scholarships allowed students from modest backgrounds to enter Oxford's historic colleges.
It's incredible being here, absolutely.
New academic fields expanded understanding of politics, economics, and society.
Modern science reshapes our view of the world.
Scientific research grew stronger as Oxford built laboratories and research centers. Oxford balanced its ancient traditions with the pressures of modernization.
Reform is essential for progress.
But at what cost to tradition?
The cost of inaction is greater.
Academic rigor remained central as Oxford prepared students for leadership roles.
Oxford began attracting scholars from across Europe and the wider world. The growing global community reshaped Oxford's identity and intellectual culture.
Oxford's influence expanded as its graduates have shaped the world.
Our graduates have shaped the world.
The university increasingly examined global questions shaping the modern world
These regions are key for climate talks.
and economic impacts.
Ancient traditions endured while the university quietly adapted to modern society. Yet global conflict would soon test Oxford and its young scholars. Soon war would call Oxford students beyond classrooms and into history.
But the alliances are shifting. We can't ignore it.
Across Europe and the markets.
So what's the plan?
We must act now.
In 1914, war erupted across Europe, drawing millions into unprecedented conflict. Many Oxford students left their studies to serve on distant battlefields.
I volunteer.
Scholars became soldiers, exchanging books for rifles and classrooms for trenches. The war claimed the lives of many promising scholars and future leaders. Oxford honored its fallen through memorials carved into college walls. After the war, survivors returned to rebuild their studies and their lives. During the 1920s, Oxford slowly recovered and resumed its scholarly traditions.
The League of Nations is failing Europe.
But Churchill warns.
Yet we must struggle 19.
Path of appeasement is sweated.
In 1939, another global war erupted, drawing Oxford into conflict again. Oxford adapted to wartime conditions while continuing teaching and research. Researchers contributed to wartime science, developing knowledge vital for national defense. Once again, Oxford students joined military service across Europe and beyond.
Deployment routes through France.
Assembly point here. The university mourned another generation lost to war's devastation. When peace returned, Oxford faced the challenge of rebuilding a changing world.
Former soldiers returned to classrooms determined to pursue education and peace.
A new generation arrived, eager to shape a better future. Oxford endured the storms of war, preserving its mission of knowledge.
From sacrifice emerged renewal as Oxford entered the modern world.
After war, Oxford entered a vibrant era of intellectual and cultural influence.
Language structures our very reality.
Indeed, and logic is the key to understanding.
Precisely, it reshapes human thought.
Writers gathered here to debate stories, myths, and imagination late into evenings. Among them were authors whose stories would captivate readers across the world. Their imagination drew inspiration from history, mythology, and Oxford's timeless atmosphere. Stories born in Oxford soon reached readers across continents and generations.
Oxford philosophy shaped debates about ethics, language, and the meaning of truth. Intellectual discussions continued shaping modern thought across Europe and America. Many influential books were written within Oxford's peaceful academic surroundings. These works helped define 20th century literature, philosophy, and cultural imagination.
Oxford encouraged questioning ideas, challenging traditions, and challenge all our fears, but build upon them.
Its atmosphere inspired writers, thinkers, and dreamers for generations. Artistic expression flourished alongside scholarship within Oxford's vibrant cultural life.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's essay?
Oxford authors shaped literature that continues inspiring readers worldwide. The city's rivers and spires often inspired imagination and creative storytelling.
The essence of truth, as Socrates taught, is in the dialogue itself.
Like those forms.
Precisely. The debate continues.
Its intellectual influence now reached students and readers around the globe. The university stood as a symbol of imagination, scholarship, and cultural influence. Yet science and technology would soon transform Oxford's global impact. Oxford prepared to enter a new era of global scientific discovery. Researchers explored medicine, physics, and technology with new tools and global collaboration. Medical breakthroughs emerged as scientists investigated diseases and new treatments. Technology transformed research methods, accelerating discoveries across multiple scientific disciplines. Engineering innovation grew as students designed solutions for complex global challenges. Oxford became a hub for international collaboration among scientists and scholars. So the data aligns perfectly. Medical research at Oxford helped develop life-saving treatments used worldwide. Physics research explored the universe's fundamental forces and mysteries. Environmental studies investigated climate change and the protection of Earth's fragile ecosystems. Scholars shared discoveries globally, influencing science policy and operations, guiding new health policy. Oxford researchers received global recognition for discoveries that transformed human knowledge. A new generation of scientists arrived, eager to expand humanity's understanding. Astronomers studied distant galaxies, exploring humanity's place within the vast universe. Biotechnology opened new possibilities for medicine and understanding life itself. Medical innovation helped protect millions through groundbreaking vaccine research. Computer science research explored artificial intelligence and the digital future.
Agreed. Let's test it.
Students from across the world gathered here to share knowledge and ideas. Ancient traditions now stood beside cutting-edge scientific innovation.
To our breakthrough!
Oxford continued shaping discoveries that influence humanity's future. Yet Oxford's story is not finished as new generations shape tomorrow. Today, Oxford stands as one of the world's most respected centers of learning. Students arrive here from every continent seeking knowledge within these ancient walls.
Education continues evolving as technology transforms how knowledge is shared and studied.
Researchers explore medicine, physics, climate science, and artificial intelligence. Debate and curiosity remain at the heart of Oxford's intellectual tradition. Oxford now collaborates with universities and researchers across the world.
Together, we advance knowledge.
Libraries still preserve centuries of knowledge collected through Oxford's long history. Each year, graduates leave Oxford carrying ideas that shape the wider world. Daily life continues blending ancient tradition with modern student culture. Oxford research now tackles humanity's greatest scientific and environmental challenges.
Innovation thrives as students transform ideas into discoveries and technologies.
Through centuries of change, Oxford's spirit of learning has endured. Here, history and innovation exist side by side.
The data shows a direct link between policy and emissions.
Yes,
Oxford scholarship varies by region. The city's timeless atmosphere still inspires curiosity and intellectual discovery. New generations arrive each year ready to write their own chapter. Oxford's story stretches across 1,000 years of learning and transformation. From humble river crossing to global university, its journey remains extraordinary. The pursuit of knowledge continues here as it has for centuries. For over 1,000 years, Oxford has stood where knowledge meets history,